Hey, what's up? John Sonmez here from simpleprogrammer.com. So I got this question, actually, a comment, okay, about doing a video on competitive programming. In fact, I've gotten this a lot. In fact, I think that it's the same dude that just keeps on posting comment after comment saying, do a video on competitive programming, like just picking out whatever video he can and just saying this. And I got sick of it, honestly. So I'm doing it. Okay, I'm gonna do it. Yeah, so sometimes when you're, really persistent and annoying, you get what you want. In fact, I would say that there's a good lesson in this, which, not to encourage people to be, to be annoying, but it tends to be that when you create the path of least resistance for people and you're annoying enough, sometimes out of simple spite, they'll just do what you want. So it's a good lesson, I think, in life to learn is that sometimes sometimes you grease the wheels and sometimes you grind them and you just keep on grinding them until people cover their ears and they just say, what do I need to do to make you go away? I'm just playing around. But anyway, so I thought this is actually a good topic. I've talked about this a little. I've done some blog posts on this topic on competitive programming. So let's talk about the resources I have so far out there for you on this competitive programming. Well, okay, what is competitive programming? It is basically programming. Think of like major league programming, like competing against other people to solve programming problems, usually algorithms. There's different variations of it. This is kind of a sport. Think of programming as a sport, and that's what it is. And so let me give you some of the background that I've done already, and then I'll talk a little bit about competitive programming specifically. So first of all, I did a blog post called Cracking the Coding Interview, right? And I talked about essentially algorithms, solving algorithms, right? Okay, and the book, Cracking the Coding Interview, of course. Then I have a Pluralsight course called Preparing for the Job Interview, I believe. You can check that out here. And that one has I actually walk through, for those of you that are like, John never codes. Well, go to that Pluralsight course and watch me teach you how to solve algorithm type problems. I think that I've done a pretty good job there where I actually show you and break down a coding problem, an algorithm problem, the kind of problem that you would see in a competitive programming competition, and show you a good strategy for doing that, because that's important for a job interview where you have a coding interview, okay? Then I did this video called Learning Algorithms, Is It Really Necessary? So that will give you a little bit more background about algorithms. And I think there might be some blog posts on Top Coder. I'm trying to think what other topics they talk about. I thought I did one other blog post about solving problems that you better know how. You can just Google those ones. They're not very good. They're old blog posts. But let's talk about competitive programming. I'm going to link to this article, which is not my own. There we go. I'm not plugging myself. It's called How to Be a Better Developer with Programming Challenges. Very good article on Ray Wenderlich's site. I actually interviewed him on this channel, by the way. So check that out. That's a pretty good resource on this. And that's actually going to help you more than anything else, because he's got a ton of these. Basically, it comes down to this. Okay, so if you're going to do these programming competitions, and I think it's a good idea. First of all, let's talk about that. Why should you do these programming competitions? Because you're going to be damn good, right? Not only are you going to be damn good, you're going to get exposure, right? I talk about marketing yourself and branding yourself. If you're a top-ranked coder, right, in one of these programming competitions, you're going to get picked up by Google, you're going to get picked up by Microsoft, you're going to get picked up by a lot of prestigious companies for a high-paying good job, right? It's just like direct exposure. You're going to have an excellent career if you can be one of the best. Now, you might not be able to be one of the best, so it might not be for everyone, but it's still fun, even if you don't do it. I had a lot of fun. That's why I really started getting into programming and becoming, really making it more than just, than something that I didn't really devote a lot of time to, right? So I really started to really get, how can I say this? Like, I'm at a loss for words here. I really started to take my career and my skills, right, the trade seriously when I started doing these competitions, when I started doing top coder competitions, and it was a lot of fun. So I think it's fun. It's going to get you a lot of valuable skills. Right now, some of these things don't apply to everyday programming, right? But you'll be surprised. I think once you become good at algorithms, you know, one of the things that you become really good at when you do programming competitions like this is you become really good at data structures and using them, right? And certain algorithms and sorting algorithms and all of these things, right? So when I was a C++ programmer doing these programming competitions, I became really good at STL, right? I knew how to use vectors all the time, right? And that carried over when I became a C# programmer because I was using lists all the time, and I knew how to use lists where other people were using arrays and it wasn't as efficient. Like I could do all kinds of tricks and stuff with different data structures because I was so familiar with them, whereas a lot of other programmers didn't really, like they knew about data structures, but they didn't know how to practically use them, and I could use them very, very well. So that helped me a lot. So I think that these things will help you a lot. The resources I point to will help you to learn. So if you're going to do these programming competitions, right, you're going to have to learn how to solve algorithm type problems. And so I've already mentioned some of these, right? Those resources I think are best. There's actually even the Wikipedia article. If you just look up the Wikipedia article on competitive programming, it's actually, it's actually pretty decent, right? So it's got some competitions in there, notable competitions, actually short-term and long-term ones, which I agree with. There's a ton of those, so you could find competitions there. It's got online content and contest and training resources, and it's got a good list. Someone here at Wikipedia who did this was really interested. They put in here HackerRank, Geeks for Geeks, Code in Game, Code Forces, Code Chef, Top Coder, Project Euler, which is one that I recommended a lot, including Top Coder, a few other ones in there. So what you want to do, kind of strategy, is first of all you want to go to those resources like that Ray Wunderlich one that I gave you, and go through and do stuff like compete on HackerRank or Top Coder, right? Or compete on, or go through Project Euler. There's a good book if you want a book on kind of old school algorithms. It's John Bentley's Programming Pearls. You can check that out here. You know, Cracking the Code Interview, I mention that one all the time. You can check out that book, and that's a good resource as well. But you want to practice, get your skill up, okay, so that you can actually solve these algorithm problems, and then you can start doing these competitions. And probably like HackerRank is probably a good mix between the two because it's going to be training as well as competing. Top Coder is the same way. But then you can start entering these competitions. And don't worry, you know, you're going to start off and you're going to suck. Like when I was first doing Top Coder stuff, oh my gosh, I was like, the problems are so hard, people are solving them so fast, right? But you look at how other people solve the problems, you see the breakdowns of the problems, and then you get it and you start to understand them. And pretty soon, what seem like impossible problems to solve, you can instantly recognize the algorithm and what you're going to use to solve that because you've seen it before. And once you get to that stage, you're going to really be really good developer, right? You know, and it translates to low-level development, right? It doesn't translate to you're a great architect and can design a large system, but as far as like programming, it's actually not. I would say, you know, this is where I'd mince words here and say that you become a really, really good programmer by doing these kind of competitions. So anyway, that's what all I got to say about competitive programming. I think it's great. I think it's fun. It's definitely one of those things that can really get you motivated. It's always fun when you can do something. Right, this is like playing a sport and getting in shape. If you can do something that you enjoy, that's fun, that's addicting, right, and also increases your skill, right? So for example, I was really into, I know you're going to laugh at this, but I was really into Dance Dance Revolution when it first came out, right? And so I bought one of those like $500 wooden mats, like boards, right? It was, you know, one of those professional setups. And I would play that for like 8 hours straight. I'd be burning calories like a madman, right? That's like a huge amount of exercise. Going for 8 hours straight. And it felt like it didn't feel like I was exercising, right? Because I was having fun. So it's the same thing there with it. That's why I like competitive programming, like, is because you're going to be honing your skills and you're going to be having fun at the same time. So anyway, if you like this video, go ahead and click the subscribe button, and you'll get videos that I do. I do like 2 to 3 videos a day. So definitely check that out, and I will talk to you next time. Take care.